before I got locked up.
What was the best?
You a coward, bro. And a fraud. Try spending half your life in a cell. Watching somebody else live your life.
Hello, welcome back to Meet Me in the Movies. Noel T. Manning II here, hanging out with Thomas Manning. And if you look over Thomas's shoulder, you'll see a poster for Creed 3. And behind me, I've got this cool little Funko Pop here of Rocky. We're going to talk about Creed 3. Now, Rocky does not show up, but Creed 3 would not have... He does not show up in Creed 3, but Creed 3 would not have happened had it not been for Rocky. So we'll lay that out there. The movie has been out for a few weeks, and Thomas and I got a chance to check this out, and as well as a lot of other people. Big franchise win for the Rocky verse, and even now spinning off into the Creed verse, and there's a lot more to come for that. And for me, always excited when I get a chance to check out boxing films. And especially when they're connected to something like this franchise, because you know for the most part they're going to do it and do it well and put the effort into it. And for this one, Michael B. Jordan got a chance to direct for the very first time, and that's a very difficult thing to do, and to take on a franchise like this and try to pull it off when all eyes are on you, maybe even more difficult, Thomas.
Yeah, as Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut, I think I can already confidently say that he's one heck of a director. His visual ideas are just so fully realized, and the action in the ring, definitely want to talk about that. Boxing is a chess match. I mean, I don't know from personal experience. I know you have a little bit of personal experience yourself in boxing, but it is a chess match from what I've heard, and it's just as much of a mental competition as it is physical. And the way in which this film drives that theme home, going back to the comment I made about the visuals that Jordan creates as a director, we haven't really seen something like this in a live action film. And the last 30 minutes of this movie might be my favorite half hour of any Rocky or Creed movie. We get the classic training montage, and it just like ignites something in your heart that makes you just want to jump out of your seat in the theater. And I actually had a fun opportunity to watch this all alone. I went to like an afternoon matinee, and I was in the theater all alone, and I was just like, This is so incredible. Just the energy that's coursing through me right now. My blood is pumping. It's great.
Yeah, it's the kind of film that it's interesting you should say that, because I went to watch it with a very small crowd when I saw it, and I felt the same way. Just that energy, that excitement of wanting to bob and weave and throw a few punches myself. But this is a film that will do that if you love sports films, especially if you love boxing films. But you add to that, if you watch this with a larger audience, it intensifies that energy, and you feed off of even more so. There are scenes of this that are taking place in large stadiums where people are watching boxing, so it feeds to that audience perspective. You talked about some of the sequences. There were some, and I've seen a lot of boxing films, Thomas, but there were some sequences, the way they were shot, that I've never, ever seen in a boxing film before. Earlier, a few weeks ago, when this movie was just getting ready to get released, we had Douglas Davidson on here talking about how there were certain aspects that were inspired by anime. And if you've ever watched any anime, even if you watch very little aspects of it, early on, you will see exactly what Douglas was talking about. There are certain scenes and certain frames, and you see Creed in some of these early matches looking, and he's eyeballing exactly what he's going to do next, and he's taking his time, planning what's next. Like you said with the chess match.
Chess, yeah.
And it happens, and it's beautifully the way that's shot. And then there's another scene where Creed is fighting one of his childhood friend. You talked about that childhood aspect of a friend from the past, and they're having to kind of square off against each other. And there's one particular round that is taking place inside of the Dodgers Stadium, I think is where this is happening. And one round where they completely disperse the crowd. The crowd's completely gone. It's just the two of them in a ring together, almost in a prison cell together, just fighting, no other distractions. And the way that was shot was beautiful, and I've never seen anything quite like that done either.
Yeah, and the antagonist character in this film is played by Jonathan Majors, and I don't think Jonathan Majors is human. And I say that both in terms of his extraordinary acting ability, but also his otherworldly physique. He looks like he could be sitting on the Council of the Gods that we saw in Omnipotent City and Thor: Love and Thunder. He's just one of the most built individuals I've ever seen. And yeah, you do mention the story is very Shakespearean. These two men who used to be like brothers, but they fell out of loop with each other and took two very different paths in life. But now they're back on a collision course. But even after all this time, they still know each other so personally, and they know every move the other is going to make, both in and out of the ring. There's one shot where they're standing on opposite sides of a wall, but they're walking away from each other, but they both stop and basically look through the wall at each other because they know exactly, as I said, each move they're going to be making at any time.
Yeah, the movie is Creed 3. It's continuing to do well at the box office. If you like sports films, this is the most successful open for a sports film ever, and that says a lot. We're going to be seeing more of Jordan behind the camera, and to be able to be behind the camera and in front of it for the same film, that's even much more of a challenge. So kudos to him. A film well worth checking out, and I'm just really glad that I have, and I've seen it. I would see this movie multiple times in multiple sittings, as I have for most Rocky and Creed films, and just so glad got a chance to check this one out. What's your rating, Thomas, for Creed 3 that's still in theaters?
Solid A- for Creed 3.
I'm right there with you. Solid A-, bordering A. It's such a wonderful outing. Thomas, next week we're going to come back and hopefully we'll be able to talk about The Mandalorian. We'll be talking about Ted Lasso back, and also Operation Fortune, and maybe Rabbit Hole, Kiefer Sutherland. So we're looking forward to diving in deep and talking more. But if you haven't seen the Creed movie, check it out. He's the son of Apollo. Right there, another Funko Pop.
You out there boxing. I need you to start fighting.